What's going on? It's your boy Sermon at Sermon's Domain on Twitter. Since 2018 hit, I've been really confused with A$AP Rocky's rollout campaign for his latest album, Testing. He started out by posting some songs on SoundCloud. And the bad thing about these records were they sounded like demos that didn't have any potential. I listened to them and it just felt like Rocky was like freestyling in the booth over a beat. There wasn't any real direction. One of them sounded like he just had Playboy Cardi ghostwrite it. I was just confused. This led many to suspect that he might be using the album title like in a way to test his fans to see what may have potential or what may not. But ultimately, when the album dropped this past Friday, none of those records were on there. And we still don't have an explanation why he did this. Because for me at least, it really killed all hype. I was like, is Rocky really going to drop an album that sounds like this? Fortunately, the track listing surfaced earlier this week and it kind of redeemed it a little bit. I liked seeing some of these big name guest features: Snoop Dogg, Kid Cudi, Frank Ocean, T.I., and many others. After listening to the album many times, the guest features turned out to be hit or misses. Kid Cudi. I really wasn't expecting Kid Cudi to have the best verse that I've heard from him in a long time on A$AP Forever. I would say that like the flow of it is a return to like that old vintage Man on the Moon type of style. I really liked it. And again, I wasn't expecting it because Cudi's been, you know, really more missed than hit. So I'm glad that Cudi came through with some fire. Another feature that I wasn't expecting to blow me away, in this way at least, is Frank Ocean on Purity. Usually Frank Ocean comes through and he steals the spotlight, he steals the show because he has such an amazing voice. Well, on this record, he steals the show, but it's not necessarily for his voice because he's not singing. Frank Ocean is just rapping, which had me questioning, like, how does that happen? Like, does someone like A$AP Rocky tell Frank Ocean he wants him to rap on this song? Or does Rocky send him a record to get on and do his thing and then he just decides, I'm gonna rap this time? I don't know, but Frank completely dominated that record. He said, fired the label like fuck brands. And I really like how he's just real braggadocious about it. Like, yeah, I fired the label, whatever. While there are some guest features that I did enjoy, there was a few that I didn't. I think one of the biggest confusing ones, well, not necessarily confusing because I understand it. You want to show your support. But having Kodak Black on call drops was just a waste. The fact that he's rapping over the phone means that it's going to be bad quality. It's not like when Ty Dolla $ign did it and on the record In Too Deep, where it sounded more clear and crisp. No, this is like you have to put on some headphones and really hear Kodak Black. But it just didn't work out for me. There's also a record on here called Buckshots and it features Smokey Margella. And ever since I first heard him, I've been really confused what Rocky sees in him. He was first on Cozy Tapes 2, I believe. And I get it, he kind of has like a really good flow. But when you really break down the lyrics, he's not anything special in my opinion. He sounds like a lot of other people. The big problem with Testing lies in the fact that it never really feels like a fluid listen. I think A$AP Rocky does a lot of experimenting on this album, as well as his last album. But on this one, it feels like it's turned up a little bit more, and also not finished. I'm listening to some of these songs, and they feel like they could turn out to be good ideas, but it's like you're in the middle of the experiment. It's not finished, so the end result doesn't really sound as good as it could. I also think there's a lot of bouncing around on this album. One minute you got this saucy New York style record with Puff Daddy doing some ad-libs titled Tony Tone. The next you got this slowed down futuristic record. I think the problem with testing is that Rocky is trying to do too much. He's trying to throw too many ideas at the board, and ultimately that hinders the album's sound because it's all over the place. It wouldn't be fair to call testing a complete failure. There are some songs and moments on here that I did enjoy. Like I talked about in the beginning with the different guest features, you know, Kid Cudi and Frank Ocean. And going back to Kid Cudi, that record ASAP Forever, it really has that, like that ASAP Rocky flow that we know and love. So I think that was one of the highlights for me. But the second part felt unnecessary. And there is how I would describe testing a lot. Like, it's, here's a compliment, but insert negative compliment or negative criticism right here. It's like most of the songs I found something that I like, or not most of them, but on the songs that I did like, most of them are, I like this, but I don't like this. The one song that I feel might be exempt from that is Praise the Lord featuring Skepta. I think that between the two of them, they have really good chemistry. The flow is nice. Skepta impressed me. When it's said and done, testing is like having all the ingredients for a recipe, but not being able to get the finished product right. There's definitely beauty in Rocky's experiments, but most of them never really sound finished. I think Rocky did too much experimenting on this album. I think Rocky needs to go back and really listen to his earlier work and find out what people really liked about him. He's never been the greatest lyricist, and he never will be. But that doesn't matter. He never had to be. He always had a really good flow. He picked the dopest beats. His first mixtape is a classic. I want to see more of that. And I know that somebody out there is going to be like, why don't you want an artist to grow? I definitely want an artist to grow. But A$AP Rocky's been trying to grow these last two albums, and I don't feel like they've really stuck. The more that I listened to this album, the more the couple songs that I did like stood out. But that came at the expense of everything else that I didn't like really sticking out like a sore thumb. So those are my thoughts on A$AP Rocky's Testing album. I want to hear from you now. I don't know if I'm in the minority. I think I've seen some people on Twitter talk about how they didn't like the album, so maybe I'm not. But I definitely want to hear if anybody out there enjoyed it a lot. I want to know what you liked about the album so I can just see it from your perspective. So if you liked it, talk to me. If you didn't like it, still talk to me in the comment section below. Afterwards, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, share the video. Follow me on Twitter at SermonsDomain. Check out some of my other work. I have plenty of reviews, tons of interviews, discussions, etc. And as always, thank you for your time. I appreciate you for watching. And until next time, peace.